This is C.S. Lewis Square in East Belfast, so we're going to take a whistle-stop tour of the square down here behind me. So without further ado, follow me please. This mural on the side of the Eastside Visitor Centre at C.S. Lewis Square, just off the Newton Ards Road here, features C.S. Lewis twice. So at the very top, there's a representation of Aslan, and then at the bottom left then, there are two stained glass windows at St Mark's, Dundela, in memory of his parents. This is Aslan, the biggest of the 8 sculptures here at the C.S. Lewis Square in East Belfast. Here we are in the shadow of Eastside Visitor Centre, and this is the stone table behind me. The stone table is an ancient monument in Narnia, a slab of stone held up on pillars. The White Witch regards the stone table as the proper place for traitors to be executed. Aslan agrees to be bound to the table and sacrificed. When he is magically resurrected, the famous table is broken in half forever. So that's why you'll see down the middle of the table this tremendous crack down the middle of the table. And on either side of the crack then, you'll see these hieroglyphics in a language that we can't understand. So this is a stone table. This is the robin. When the children are cold and alone in the woods, the robin here appears and leads them to Mr. and Mrs. Beaver's house. The children decide to trust their instincts and follow the little bird who guides them on their way to safety. So again, this is the robin, the smallest of the sculptures here at C.S. Lewis Square in East Belfast. This is the next of the sculptures here at the C.S. Lewis Square in East Belfast. This is Mr. and Mrs. Beaver. They take care of the children when they arrive in Narnia and offer the children a place to shelter. They're fiercely loyal to Aslan, and they represent all the upright citizens of Narnia, and they lead the children on the journey to safety and to be reunited with Aslan. So these are one of the more friendly looking characters here down at the C.S. Lewis Square in East Belfast, Mr. and Mrs. Beaver. This is Mogram, a ferocious looking talking wolf, the chief of police. He was under the control of the White Witch, and he's athirst for blood and violence and stands guard at the door of the witch's house. So he's also represented down here at the square in a mural nearby. So again, Mogram, the chief of the secret police. This is the White Witch, the very definition of evil. So you can see her content is slightly different from the rest of the sculptures here at the C.S. Lewis Square. And the White Witch is a wicked half giant, half genie who has seized control of Narnia and uses fear and temptation to control everyone. So you can see she has the Turkish delight in her hands, in her left hand here to tempt the children, and she also has a hairline like my own. So again, the White Witch. This is Mr. Tumnus. He is a faun, in other words a half human and half goat, and he's the first character that Lucy meets when she arrives in Narnia. Mr. Tumnus is a peace-loving, thoughtful character who lives in the woods and plays magical tunes on his flute. So the very friendly looking faun, Mr. Tumnus. This is the Searcher statue down here at the C.S. Lewis Square. It actually predates the other sculptures in the square. This was unveiled in 1998 to commemorate the centenary of Lewis's birth here in East Belfast. So it predates the other sculptures in the square by almost 20 years, 18 years. And it depicts Durgaree Kirk entering Narnia through the wardrobe here. Around the base of the sculpture, it commemorates C.S., known as Jack, in memory of a dog, Lewis. He's commemorated as an Ulsterman, a writer, a scholar, a teacher, and a Christian. And there are 2 dates here behind the wardrobe, born 1898 and reborn 1931. So there's no mention of the date of his death, but he died the same night that Kennedy was assassinated. So you can see here it's commemorated as the Searcher centenary sculpture depicting Durgaree Kirk entering Narnia through the wardrobe. So this is the birthplace in East Belfast of C.S. Lewis. He was born on this site. It was Dundela Villas, on the 29th of November 1898. There's a blue plaque on the side of these replacement dwellings, but the site of his birth was it's called Dundela Villas when he was born here. And he lived here for the first 5 or 6 years of his life before he moved around. So this is Little Lee on the Circular Road in Leafy, East Belfast, and this is where the Lewis family moved into in April 1905. And C.S. Lewis, in other words Jack, would have lived here until he left Belfast to go to England in 1908 following the sad death of his beloved mother, Flora. And the house itself is a private house these days, and there's a blue plaque which isn't really visible from the street. The house itself is like a character in some of Lewis's early recollections of his happy childhood here in East Belfast. And so he says, for example, he's the product of empty sunlit rooms, gurgling cisterns, etc. And so I say that the house was really a character in a lot of his early work. In here would have been, in the attic, would have been the wardrobe made by his paternal grandfather, and so this is where the wardrobe itself would have been in this house from 1905. And then Lewis's his father lived here until the 1920s when the house was sold. This is Campbell College School in East Belfast, and this is where C.S. Lewis boarded for half a term. He lived quite close by, or his father lived quite close by, but he boarded here for half a term. And some say that this lamppost here is where he got the inspiration for the lamppost in the Chronicles of Narnia. And of course the lamppost then, it guided the children into Narnia through the wardrobe. Others contest the fact that this was the inspiration for the lamppost. Others say that the original lamppost is in Oxford, but some claim that it's here at Campbell College, where he went for half a term. He was mainly educated in England, but as I spent half a term here at Campbell College as a boarder. He wasn't very happy here, but he's still commemorated in Campbell College on their beautiful war memorial as having served in the Great War. And the beautiful war memorial was done by a local sculptor called Rosamund Prager. So again, the lamppost that some say provided the inspiration for C.S. Lewis's lamppost, and it's in the grounds of Campbell College here in East Belfast. So down this lane is a house called Tiasa. Tiasa is Welsh for house that stands alone. And this is where a man called Albert Lewis, C.S. Lewis's paternal granda, used to live. This house, Tiasa, is still exists as it was built, but you can see it doesn't now. Doesn't stand alone now. It's now surrounded by houses, which means access and viewing of it is quite difficult. But down here was Albert Lewis, and he emigrated from Wales originally to Cork, and then up to Belfast here, where he worked in shipbuilding. And he was very handy with his hands, and it is alleged that he would have built the wardrobe that C.S. Lewis related to in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. I say he worked in shipbuilding, and he didn't work in a shipyard, he owned the shipyard. The shipyard in question was called McIlwain and Lewis, and in 1888 they built a little steel steamer called the SS Titanic. So it far predated the more well-known Titanic, and it far outlived the more well-known Titanic. It was only taken out of service in the 1930s. When the more well-known Titanic came along, the SS Titanic changed its name then to the SS Don Alberto, and latterly San Alberto. So again, that links Lewis with the original Titanic that a lot of people don't know about. So again, down this lane is where Richard Lewis, C.S. Lewis's paternal granda, lived in a house called Tiasa. This is St Mark's Dundela, on the Hollywood Road here in East Belfast. And in this church, the first rector of the church was a man called Thomas Hamilton, C.S. Lewis's maternal grandfather. And in the baptismal font in this very church in January 1899, he christened his second eldest grandson, Clive Staples Lewis, known to the family as Jack. Following the death of Jack's parents, him and his brother Warren, known as Warnie, they dedicated a set of windows here in St Mark's in memory of their parents. In the shadow of St Mark's Dundela here, known as the Lion on the Hill, this church, is this beautiful building. This was the rectory of St Mark's Dundela. And C.S. Lewis, his maternal grandfather, he was the first rector here, so he would have lived in this house. So a young Lewis who would have spent a lot of time in this house because his mother was ill, he would have, when he approached the door, he would have been met more or less face on with this, a replica of this, the original of this door knocker, and this is a replica. And it is said by some that this is where he got the inspiration for the lion, from the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe, from a door knocker located at this very location, the old rectory of St Mark's Dundela.